What's up, YouTube? JR Juggernaut 1 here, and welcome to another episode of Cards of the Future. This is going to be episode 2 in the series. Last one I did DD Spirit, which is now called DD Sprite. Talked about how that card could play a role in some decks just for the sake of being able to remove a monster and get it back. It could be used in tandem with Absolute Zero decks by removing Absolute Zero, destroying your opponent's monsters, then you get it back and you can use it for more shenanigans afterwards. Stuff like that. But, you know what? I was just going over it and trying to think of another card to talk about, something good. And I realized probably the best card to talk about right now would be this. Yep, Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Now, I'm going to read this card anyway, just because you guys, even though you guys probably know what it is already. This is a Dragon Synchro Monster. Water attribute, 9 stars. It requires 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is Synchro summoned, you can activate this effect to remove from play up to 1 card each from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. The card in the hand is chosen at random. Wow. Now, this card is just astounding in a way. And not for the reasons you might think. I know this card is very good. It's obviously amazing to have a card that's essentially a one monster that basically can cost your opponent the game by removing 3 of their own cards. And I think that's very good, but at the same time, the question that I keep wondering, that's in the back of my mind, why is this card worth $200? Yeah, I just don't get it. Why is that the case? Now, granted, I understand it's the effect of it, and I can understand that's a very good effect, obviously. But this guy isn't that easy to get out. Yes, level 9, definitely reasonable. But what I don't understand is, how is it that people act like there's a deck is going to be able to spam this thing rather easily? The only deck that was able to do that was Infernities. Had Infernities been able to spam Trishula, they would have, they would have got hit. They would have done much better in our meta. Yes, they had Infernity Barrier on the OCG, but being able to spam Trishula, constantly minusing them, preventing them from, that was another way of preventing them from coming back. And ultimately, I think this card is going to have a very big impact on the format, or on the meta, I should say. But I still think this card might be, I guess the word isn't overhyped, but I think people are giving it a bit too much credit. I don't think a card like this should be worth that much money. I understand it's a dual terminal card, which makes it worth more, but even so, $200 for this thing? I just find that absurd, quite frankly. You guys can think what you want about this card, but, not only do I refuse just to pay $200 for a card, it's hard for me to believe even some card like this should be worth that much. Because that's worth more than Pot of Duality. In my opinion, Pot of Duality, so much better. I know that Trishula is probably harder to pull, but even so, it's still just $200? I don't know. But let's just think about this for a second, all the different, how is this going to be a big threat, though, to players? Well, I think the deck that's probably going to be able to play this the most, or possibly the most, would be Plant Synchro. And that's because I've been telling people about this for a while, but there is a first turn Trishula you can do, and people may not always want to go for Trishula first turn, but if you can, boy, oof, it's fairly easy. All you need is 2 cards, a Foolish Burial and a Debris Dragon. What happens is you go Foolish Burial for Dandelion, you get 2 fluff tokens. You go for you summon Debris Dragon, take back Dandelion. immediately. Now the good thing about this here is if they Crow Dandelion or Valorant, you could still go for Iron Chain. But if you do manage to get back Dandelion, all you do is go level 9 with all 4 of your monsters into Trishula. Since it's a dragon monster, you can sync for it with Debris Dragon, and you just remove 2 of their cards or something. And yeah, it's just boom. You've got a big guy on the field. First turn, what you gonna do now? It could be very helpful. I mean, yeah, you may prefer to do this, after your opponent's played some cards, but it's good regardless. The other thing though that's nice is that think about what you could do if you did this like with Formula Synchron, for example. End of the turn, oh, I removed 3 of your cards, or I use Formula to get it out in response to your like Dandelion, your Debris Dragon play or something. It's like it could be real shenanigans, and I don't know if there's a deck that would be able to do that somewhat often, but it would be a lot of fun to be able to do that. I'm sure you guys would agree. So let's see. How are we going to conclude this? Ultimately, Trishula is a very good synchro monster. I'm not saying that it's a bad card. I'm just trying to tell you guys, I really don't think it should be worth $200. I really don't think a card like this should be the card that we say is like the most valuable card, the most valuable card in the game right now. And I know people are going to disagree with me on that, and maybe there's something I'm missing, but seriously, guys, do you really think a dual terminal card should be worth that much money? Really? Please comment below what you guys think, but otherwise, this is JR Juggernaut 1 signing out. Peace, guys.